Everything you need to know about the African Continental Free Trade Area. Hello, Displorers! Welcome to another informative video presented to you by Displore, and thanks for watching. In this video, we will present everything you need to know about the African Continental Free Trade Area. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, is a free trade area founded in 2018, with trade commencing as of 1 January 2021. It was created by the African Continental Free Trade Agreement among 54 of the 55 African Union nations. The free trade area is the largest in the world in terms of the number of participating countries since the formation of the World Trade Organization. Accra, Ghana serves as the Secretariat of AfCFTA and was commissioned and handed over to the AU by the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, on August 17, 2020 in Accra. The agreement, which was brokered by the African Union, will boost intra-African trade by 52% by 2022 upon full implementation. To get the full picture of this agreement, the involved members and issues, it is important that we look at the historic foundation of it all before we can see how it can come into fruition, given its objectives which are of mutual benefit to all signatories involved. But first, if you are new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Background: in 1963, the Organization of African Unity, or AU, was founded by the independent states of Africa, which was aimed at promoting cooperation between African states. The 1980 Lagos Plan of Action was adopted by the organization, which suggested Africa should minimize reliance upon the West by promoting intra-African trade. This began as the creation of a number of regional cooperation organizations in the different regions of Africa, such as the Southern African Development Coordination Conference. Eventually, this led to Abuja Treaty in 1991, which created the African Economic Community, an organization that promoted the development of free trade areas, custom unions, an African Central Bank, and an African Common Currency Union. In 2002, the OAU was succeeded by the African Union, the AU, which had as one of its goals to accelerate the economic integration of the continent. A second goal was to coordinate and harmonize the policies between the existing and future regional economic communities for the gradual attainment of the objectives of the Union. Objectives: the general objectives of the agreement are to create a single market, establish a liberalized market, aid the movement of capital and people, and move towards the establishment of a future continental customs union. It doesn't end there. With this agreement, members will be able to achieve sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development, enhance competitiveness of member states within Africa and in the global market, encourage industrial development through diversification and regional value chain development, agricultural development and food security, and also resolve challenges of multiple and overlapping memberships. Negotiations: at the 2012 African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, leaders agreed to create a new continental free trade area by 2017. At the 2015 AU Summit in Johannesburg, the summit agreed to commence negotiations. This began a series of 10 negotiating sessions, which took place over the next 3 years. The first negotiation forum was held in February 2016 and held 8 meetings until the summit in March 2018 in Kigali. From February 2017, the technical working groups held 4 meetings, where technical issues were discussed and implemented in the draft, which was approved by the African Union Ministers of Trade between March 8 and 9, 2018. In March 2018, at the 10th Extraordinary Session of the African Union on AfCFTA, 3 separate agreements were signed, which were the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the Kigali Declaration, and the Protocol on Free Movement of Persons. The Protocol on Free Movement of Persons seeks to establish a visa-free zone within the AfCFTA countries and support the creation of the African Union Passport. At the summit in Kigali on 21 March 2018, 44 countries signed the AfCFTA, 47 signed the Kigali Declaration, and 30 signed the Protocol on Free Movement of People. While a success, there were 2 notable holdouts: Nigeria and South Africa, the 2 largest economies in Africa. One complicating factor in the negotiations was that Africa had already been divided into 8 separate free trade areas, and/or custom unions, each with different regulations. The continuous existence of these bodies stands as a limiting factor to the objective of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which seeks to reduce trade barriers between the different pillars of the African Economic Community and eventually use these regional organizations as building blocks for the ultimate goal of an Africa-wide customs union. Negotiations continued in 2018 with Phase 2, including policies of investment, competition, and intellectual property rights. In January of 2020, AU Assembly negotiations were envisaged to be concluded. A draft was expected for the January 2020 AU Assembly. Institutions. To facilitate negotiations, committees were established via protocols. The AfCFTA Secretariat will be responsible for coordinating the implementation of the agreement and shall be an autonomous body within the AU system. Though it will have independent legal personality, it shall work closely with the AU Commission and receive its budget from the AU. The Council of Ministers responsible for trade will decide on the location of the headquarters, structure, role, and responsibilities. The Assembly of the African Union Head of State and Government is the highest decision-making body. It is likely to meet during the AU summit. The Council of Ministers responsible for trade provides strategic trade policy oversight and ensures effective implementation and enforcement of the AfCFTA agreement. Several committees have been established for trade in goods, trade in services, on rules of origin, trade remedies, non-tariff barriers, technical barriers to trade, and on sanitary and phytosanitary measures. Dispute resolution rules and procedures are still being negotiated, but will presumably include designation of a dispute resolution body. The Committee of Senior Trade Officials implements the Council's decisions and is responsible for the development of programs and action plans for the implementation of the AfCFTA agreement. Membership. As of July 2019, 54 of the 55 African Union states had signed the agreement, with Eritrea being the only country not signing the agreement. Of these member states, 27 have deposited their instrument of ratification. Kenya and Ghana were the first nations to ratify the agreement, depositing their ratification on the 10th of May 2018. Of the signatories, 22 needed to ratify the agreement for it to come into effect, and this occurred on the 29th of April 2019, when both Sierra Leone and Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic ratified the agreement. As a result, the agreement came into force 30 days later, on 30th of May 2019. At this point, only Benin, Nigeria, and Eritrea had not signed. Eritrea was not part of the initial agreement due to an ongoing state of war, but the 2018 peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea ended the conflict and ended the barrier to Eritrean participation in the free trade agreement. Nigerian opposition. Nigeria was one of the last nations to sign the agreement. At 203 million people, Nigeria is Africa's most populous country, with a nominal GDP of $376 billion, which is around 17% of Africa's GDP, just ahead of South Africa with 16. Because Nigeria is such a significant country in terms of its population and its economy, its absence at the initial signing of the agreement was particularly conspicuous. At the time, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari said that Nigeria could not do anything that would undermine local manufacturers and entrepreneurs. On the 21st of July 2018, 5 more nations signed the agreement, including South Africa, which made the Nigerian government to emphasize that its non-participation was a delay, not a withdrawal, and promised to soon sign the agreement. The Nigerian government cited concerns as to whether the agreement adequately prevented anti-competitive practices, such as dumping. Nigeria's president announced on the 2nd of July 2019 that Nigeria will sign the AfCFTA in Niger the following week, and did so on the 7th of July 2019. Current status. Even though most AU member states have signed the agreement, Benin, Botswana, Eritrea, Guinea-Bissau, Nigeria, and Zambia did not initially sign the agreement. Even though Nigeria initially delayed, on July 7, 2019, Nigeria and Benin committed to signing, leaving Eritrea as the only nation out of the 55 African Union member states not to sign up the deal. The African Continental Free Trade Area did not come into effect until 22 of the signing countries ratified the agreement, which occurred in April 2019 when the Gambia became the 22nd country to ratify it. As of August 2020, there are 54 signatories, of which at least 30 have ratified and 28 have deposited their instrument of ratification. The 3 countries that have ratified but not yet deposited their ratification are reported to be Cameroon, Angola, and Somalia, though Morocco enacted a law authorizing ratification in 2019. Eritrea had not signed due to tensions with Ethiopia, but following the 2018 Eritrea-Ethiopia summit, the AU Commissioner for Trade and Industry now expects Eritrea to sign the agreement. Implementation. The AfCFTA is set to be implemented in phases, and some of the future phases are still undergoing negotiation. At the Kigali summit, areas of agreement were found on trade protocols, dispute settlement procedures, custom operation, and trade facilitation and rules of origin. This was part of Phase 1 of the agreement, which covers goods and services liberalization. There was also agreement to reduce tariffs on 90% of all goods. Each nation is permitted to exclude 3% of goods from this agreement. The 12th extraordinary session of the African Union AfCFTA was called to launch the new agreement into operational phase, which was hosted in Niamey on the 7th of July 2019. At this launch, 5 operational instruments that will govern the AfCFTA were activated: the rules of origin, the online negotiating forum, the monitoring and elimination of non-tariff bearers, a digital payment system, and the African Trade Observatory. Negotiations for Phase 2 began in February 2019, which covered protocols for competition, intellectual property, and investment, and expected to finish in 2020. After months of delay because of the COVID-19 pandemic in Africa, the AfCFTA officially but largely symbolically launched on January 1, 2021. There you have it, Explorers. That was everything you needed to know about the African Continental Free Trade Area. Thanks for watching this video, and if you did enjoy this video, do well to give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.